Good morning, afternoon, evening traders, wherever you are in the world, welcome to today's video. So what I'm going to be doing today, I've made a couple notes actually, and I want to talk about some of the things that I would personally do differently had I start my trading journey again. What things I did well, what things I could have maybe not done, or maybe doubled down on. These things are important. So what I'm going to be doing is offering my 6 years experience in this video, talking about if I could go back in time and change some things, this is exactly what I would do. So this can be really important. So whether you're 6 months into your journey, a year, 2 years, 3 years, it doesn't really matter too much. It's more so just sit there, absorb the gems hopefully, take it into consideration, try it out for yourself, and there is some really good things in here personally that I do think will be helpful.
Hiya, can I get a latte with coconut milk? Cheers buddy, thank you, nice one. See you in a bit mate. Right. Got a latte with coconut milk. That's my go-to. Give it a try. But anyway, let's taste this. Might be a bit hot. That's not too bad. Quick coffee shop break before the call in 25 minutes. So I'm going to get back in a minute. But yeah, my next thing that I really wanted to say is, even if you're not at a point where you're fully consistent yet, and you might not be for some time, every now and then withdraw some profits from, let's say if you bank your winning trade, etc. It's really important to associate the physical association with cash in terms of trading, because the reason I say that is everything involved in trading now is on a screen. Everything becomes virtual. So when you see numbers on MT4, quite often you can get into the habit of it not really meaning anything because you're not physically seeing that cash. And we're not on a trading floor anymore. We're not in the 1980s anymore, where everything is done on the screen now. So it's important every so often, like I said, even if you're not fully consistent yet, every now and then, just take a little bit out maybe of your personal capital and just reward yourself. It could be anything to do that's going to benefit you maybe something for your office that you look at every day. Something that's actually just like you buying it with the profits that you've made from trading. That just really, personally, I just think it just helps massively, because it's such a simple thing, and for a while I was in that mindset, I don't really want to take anything out of the account because obviously you want to build it, etc. But it's important to just do that and just associate it with obviously just actual cash, because that's one way you can actually treat it and start believing that it's actually a business. Because like I said, everything is virtual. It's hard to get into the habit, especially when you're first starting out, to really fully believe that it's actually business. So that's one of the things that I would actually recommend with that as well. And on that subject as well, when you can afford it, get an accountant that specializes in trading or something along those lines as well. Because I used to have an old accountant, and they were really good in terms of obviously just day-to-day business, small businesses, etc. But you get to a certain stage and you need that trading advice. You need someone in your corner who actually understands the field that you're in, and I think that's such a massive thing. So definitely just invest in that when you can, and I think that's a very productive thing that you can do.
This will be applicable to a lot of you as well, is don't focus on the money, because when you first start learning how to trade, you're probably not going to be earning a whole lot of money for the first year or two, realistically. So what you want to be really focusing on is the actual process in place, instead of actually the dollar amount of, right, this is how much I've earned this month or this quarter or this year. It's not necessarily about that. What you really want to be doing is building yourself a correct foundation, so that in the future, in year 3, 4, 5, 10, you can actually then thrive and actually get them results longer term. That's what you really want to be focused on. You don't want to be focused on, right, I made £2,000 this month or 2,000 whatever this year, right? You don't want to be focused on that. Focus on the bigger, holistic point of view instead of the short-term gratification of, I want results now. Because that mindset of you want results now or you want money now will just damage you completely. It's not necessarily something that I did, but even when I do say that, I still think as a beginner I still caught up into that cycle a little bit. So it's not a good habit to be in, because if you're always focused on the money, it will just hold you back in trading, because everything will become about the money. So what you really want to focus on is the skill set itself. Once you actually build the skill, the money will come along, and that's the most important thing to focus on. One big thing that would have helped me a little bit earlier on would be get very clear on your vision of where you want to take trading. You know, if you struggle with being specific with this, that's okay. You know, your vision will get clearer the more you have experience. But what I would say is get clear as possible in terms of what do you envision for yourself. You know, a lot of us will get into trading for, number one, firstly money, but that kind of, you start to realize as you get in trading it's more about the freedom instead of the money. But what I would say is that a lot of people come into trading for either financial freedom, time freedom, or location freedom, or probably all three. For myself, it was all three. So get very clear on what you would want, what ideal life would you want to be living, like how do you see yourself in 5-10 years time, and if 10 years is too long for you, 3 years time, where do you want to be, where do you see yourself being as a trader, or how are you going to implement trading into your day-to-day life? That's important to get clear on, because if you don't, what I found in trading is it's very easy to get caught up into the day-to-day of, right, another trading day, see what opportunities we have, right, nothing for today, or maybe there's trades for today, boom, win, loss, break even. You stick to the process, you get into the system, which is all great, but you also need that bigger vision of where you want to take it and where you see things going over the next 3 to 5 years. That's super, super important. One of the biggest things that I would actually focus on is putting repeatable systems and processes in place for the long term. You know, what you want to really be focused on is obviously getting to a stage where you can create your trading plan. Don't worry, because that's not going to come all of a sudden, it's not going to come overnight. It takes a while to even get to that stage in the first place. It may take you 6 months, a year to get to that place. But once you've actually got a trading plan in place, you want to actually have systems in place in terms of, right, this is my entry model, this is how I do this is how I do that, this is how I manage risk, this is, you know, in this situation I'm going to do this, how do I pay myself? All these things should be defined prior to even getting involved in trades, and that's super important. Don't get me wrong, no, not everything has to be mechanical, and this brings me on to the next point as well, is there's this whole debate in trading about discretion versus mechanical, and the more experience I have, personally I do believe that discretion is very important. If you look at top level traders, they have, I'm not going to say a lot of discretion, but they do have amounts of discretion involved in their trading, because you've got to think of trading, and the way I like to look at it is in terms of art. Like, it's very much artwork. Like, you're going to be going based on, yes, don't get me wrong, you're going to have trading plan in place and you're going to do things in terms of systematically, but you're also going to allow yourself to flow. Like, you don't want to get rid of that natural ability to just flow in the markets. Like, what do you see? Top-down analysis. Start to read the intention of the market, and you can do that often based on experience as well. So you don't want to cap that, or you don't want to limit that. So having a strategy that's purely mechanical, obviously it can work for some people and that's completely fine, but what I will say is don't let it ruin your natural ability to actually just flow. But in terms of the entry model itself, I'm a very big believer in terms of having a set criteria in place, in terms of, right, maybe you give yourself that aspect of flow and actually create that narrative and then play that narrative. But when it comes to entries, personally I do believe it should be pretty set in stone. So if you have one entry model or 3 entry models, those entry models should be pretty determined prior to actually getting involved in trades. That is what allows probability to take place. If everything is going to be different every time, it's very difficult to actually track probabilities from that aspect, because everything is always changing. So what is probabilities in that aspect? Whereas if things are the same in terms of entries, it's very easy and measurable to track that. And the same goes for routines and processes. You know, you want to have certain things in place. Quick tip as well, I don't want to go off on too much of a rant with this, but stay on top of your game in terms of dressing smart or dressing tidy, staying clean, putting easy habits in place, such as making your bed, you know, all these little things, making sure you're clean before you get on the charts. These things sound very simple, but you have to think about it, right? If you just get up, throw some joggers on, throw some random clothes on, sit the markets, you're probably not going to feel your best. Whereas if you have a shower, get ready for the day, actually be productive, dress in some clean, smart clothes, you feel professional within yourself, which is going to allow you to be professional in the markets, and it's going to set that habit in stone. Whereas, like I said, if you're lounging about, you're in your dressing gown, not to say you can't do that, but from personal experience, it's better to dress well and just dress smart and feel professional. And it just, for me, it just has a mirror effect on performance and how you feel in the markets. So that's a quick tip. I actually read that from the Magic of Thinking Big, and something that's mentioned in there in terms of dressing for success, and it's such a big part of it for me personally, so I would bear that in mind. But yeah, your routine and your processes could be as simple or as detailed as what you like. Keep them simple. I would say from a longevity standpoint, you don't need to do too many things. I've got caught up into that in the past of this is a quick tip as well, you probably noticed in my old videos, like I used to do so many different things in my morning routine and stuff, and it was just a bit complex, whereas looking back on now, my routine is just a lot more simplified. You don't need, you know, a big routine of doing a 2-hour thing before you get on the markets. Don't get me wrong, my routine wasn't like that, but you get what I'm saying, right? So keep it simple, keep it efficient, get to the markets, go do your work, get it done, but just keep it consistent over time. That's the most important thing. The same with processes. When it comes to backtesting, if you're learning a strategy, you really want to be consistent with that. Learning actual content, journaling trades you've taken or missed trades, these are processes you really want to be putting in place to track your performance and get better over time. That's really important. Right, next thing is surround yourself with people who are in the position you want to be in or are a lot further ahead on that journey than you. That's really important, because obviously you want to surround yourself with other like-minded people, and that's very important when it comes to people who are on the same level. But when it comes to people further ahead than you, they're going to know certain things that you don't, and surrounding yourself with them and having conversations with them is going to help you just level up and actually just acquire that knowledge that they have over the years, that allows them to be at a certain level, so that you can actually implement that into your own trading. And then obviously have a portion of time where you're actually, when you're at a certain stage, giving back to people who are less behind than you. That's important as well. So I think I heard this from Ty Lopez a while back. I think it's the 33% rule or something like that. 33% of what you should be doing is spending time with people who are above you in terms of further ahead than you. 33% of the time should be with people on the same level, and then the last 33% should be people who are, you know, more behind than you in terms of not as knowledgeable or haven't had the same experience. So it is a good rule to put in place. I think that's really important. But overall, surround yourself with people who have done it, or are doing it. You know, this is something that I did early on. I was in a community of like-minded traders. It really helped being in that network of people, because not only do you make friends for life, like back in the day I was in Falcon for a good, I think it was 2 years, and that experience in there was just, you know, the best, because the amount of friends and people in my network now that I have that was started in that group is incredible. So, you know, you just got to look back and think, like, wow, so many things actually started from that. So get into a group, get into a community of like-minded people, and that's going to help you develop as a trader in terms of knowledge, experience, and you can learn from the people who are doing it themselves. That's really, really important. Now for the next thing I'm going to touch on is something that I learned from my old mentor Mark. So it's basically more from a holistic point of view, but it was really helpful. So what I recommend doing is take a day off work in the week if you have a full-time day job, or let's say you're not in the place that you want to be in just yet. Take a day off work, book it, slot it off in the calendar just for your time to essentially live a day in the life of you as a full-time trader, or you as with other businesses alongside trading, or the ideal version of yourself you want to be in the future, and just completely book it off. Spend that day and live it exactly how you see yourself in 5 years time, 3 years time, a year down the line, how you see yourself living that day. You know, for me, I remember the first time I did it was back in 2017. I remember the exact day I did it. I remember the time where I was, what I did on that day. I remember everything about it, and it's something that really sticks in your mind, and you can use that as a visualization aspect in terms of referring back to that in your mind as a place that you want to be. It's almost like a reference point. So what I did, I remember exactly what I did. My goal was to be a full-time trader at the time. I was working a 9-to-5 job in, you know, I didn't really necessarily like the full-time job, and I wanted to get out of it. And I just took the day off. It was a Wednesday. It was either the 6th or the 7th of July 2017, and around 10:30, 11, I was in Starbucks, just having a coffee, sat on my laptop, just living the life of what I thought at the time a full-time trader was. And you know, I was in a trade, I think it was New Zealand CAD at the time. I went to the gym afterwards, just rewarded myself, and it was just such a good experience to actually do that and live that life, because it helped me in my mind almost defatuate with it, because it's very easy to infatuate with your goal of, right, I want to be a full-time trader. It's up here on a pedestal, but as soon as you neutralize it and bring it down and actually taste it, it doesn't feel like that far away. So that was really genuinely helpful for me. So I recommend doing that for you all. Book a day off work, use it as a visualization day for what you want to be in the future, and just live that day exactly how you want to live it in the future. Do certain things such as prioritizing your day, stay productive, don't just sit around in the charts all day, actually go out, do different things, go to the gym when it's quiet in the day. The simple things are often the most important. Cook your own meals, go trade the London session, go trade the day, and go out with friends, family. Do whatever you want, do whatever you see yourself doing in the future, and that's very important. And yeah, it's a good little tip.
Have a group of people who you can rely on for pretty much anything, you know, that's really important. So whether it's 3 people, 1 person, 5 people, etc., it's really important to have people who understand what you're doing and who are maybe in the journey with you as well, or maybe if they're not, they still support you. Someone you can actually talk to about this stuff, because trading can be very isolating. When you're in a room when it's just 4 walls and you're just grinding, and you've got this self-inflicted pressure, and you're just trying to make a living, trying to make money, trying to work towards that freedom that you just pursue and just desire to have, things can become isolating, because you've probably been in the situation where a lot of your friends that you maybe grew up with don't have the same vision as you. They don't want to do certain things. They maybe want to go out and party and enjoy themselves, which is fair enough. You know, let them do whatever they want to do. But you can kind of get a bit isolated from doing that, because no one around you is doing the same thing as you, and it feels like a very lonely path at times. So what I would recommend is, like I said, grow your network, go out to places, go meet different traders, go meet different people. Like, you'd be surprised how many people actually trade now. You know, there's like 5 or 6 people that I know of in my gym that trade now. So like, you just got to go out and explore and go to different coffee shops, go different places, and just get talking to different people. You know, you never know who you're going to meet, and you know, some of those conversations could really change the way you think about certain things, and it's really important to have. So yeah, go out, explore a little bit, don't be just stuck in one place. That's something that I did quite a lot when I first started out. So as soon as I started to actually explore a little bit and go out and go work in coffee shops, like I'm at Costa right now, literally just outside, and I come here all the time. Just go out and do those things, because it is a valuable thing to do, and you can get very tunnel visioned into your space, and it becomes almost like a habit where you feel like you can't focus anywhere else apart from your office. Get out of that thinking. Go work in a coffee shop where there's tons of distractions. Put your headphones on when there's people walking past you all the time, and try and focus then, right? You developing your focus then in that environment will help you much more when you go back home and there's no distractions. So these little things you got to think about, and you know, believe me, it's super important. So overall, hopefully that helped. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Have a great week or weekend in the markets, and I'll catch you all soon. Peace out.